Welcome back to the Perfect Lab Podcast. I'm Mark Jager. This is Mark Kilgore. He goes by Kilgore. I go by Jager. And we're going to get a little preview into Global Time Attack Finals at Buttonwillow Raceway. I still struggle with calling it Finals. It used to be Super Lab Battle. It is what it is. Buttonwillow Raceway. Buttonwillow Raceway is near Bakersfield, California. And, man, it is a 2.68 mile course with 21 turns. On-off cambers, hairpins, chicanes, sweepers, elevation changes, straights, you name it, it's got it. One of my favorite parts of the track as a whole, many of others, is a bus stop leading into Riverside, which always is a fan favorite to watch. You know, when you're looking from the stands, you're looking right at it. If you're up on the mezzanine here where you can see, it gives an opportunity for guys to kind of jump their cars, splash down, kick up dust, all sorts of good stuff. It's an awesome track. It is in the middle of nowhere. There is not a good hotel to stay at, and there's no good food. So a couple of negatives. I will give it a couple of negatives, but they are building another road course at Buttonwillow, and it's supposedly going to be able to be interconnected, kind of like the whole I want to say Thunderhill. My brain just went blank.
I think that's right, yeah. Thunderhill has like multiple configurations, yeah.
So it's going to be kind of a situation like that, which will give another opportunity for, records to kind of be seen, sight, and built. And you'll be able to do kind of the standard CW13 at Buttonwillow, and then you could essentially enhance that to whatever they're going to build in terms of configuration-wise out there. And I think that'll be a really cool aspect. Again, my opinion, and this is solely my opinion, but from a time attack standpoint, this is always my mecca of time attack. This used to be Super Lap Battle before they took it to Coda, because this is where the magazine started it all and said time attack is going to originate, and it's going to be the track that everyone goes to and tries to basically beat all the records. So this thing has the most history in terms of time attack than any other track in the U.S. by far, bar none. This has got the history. This has got the things that in terms of like I'm looking at it. When I look at it, I like to look down that list of names, and you see famous drivers, you see famous people, you see just excellent drivers. It's just such a cool thing to check out. The history there is just amazing. I love it to death, and that's probably why when finals come around, it makes me more excited than anything else. Just it's something that's so cool to me, and that's just something that I'm never going to get over, and it's going to be hard for me to really look at essentially a Coda as essentially the quintessential Super Lap Battle. Even though, again, I've been to Super Lap Battle, and you have been to Super Lap Battle. And I think you can say it is an absolute, badass experience.
It's killer.
Yeah, it absolutely is. But sometimes things are better when they're smaller and just have the history. So maybe that's just me.
I don't disagree. Let's also take a second and point out, Jaeger, this is the 20th anniversary, I believe.
Yes,
of
it
global
is.
Of finals, so that's also a big deal. 20 years. One, congrats to them. Right, they've kept the event going, but to sort of celebrate that 20th year, I think it's going to be something pretty cool. I kind of hope they have some cool things going on to sort of celebrate that. I know that on a lot of their media, they've got sort of the Global Time Tech Finals, and they've got the 20 in gold, sort of recognizing that 20th anniversary. So a lot of fun there. Super excited to see if any records get broken. It's going to be fun. I don't know what's the weather looking like. So Jaeger, are you going to be out there? And if so, what are you going to be doing?
So I am going to be out there. Sadly, I will not be on the live stream. So sorry guys, I won't be out in the live stream. They're not going to do a live stream this year, but I will be out there. I will be co-driving with James James. I'll be out there with James in his Porsche GT3.
Hi ho.
We're going to put his to work. That's for sure. The goal is really just to get James into a good position and get him driving his best. That's going to be my job. I'm not really going for, a lap time and try to drive the wheels off his car. The goal is just to continue to help him and essentially get him to a good point in that car so he can lay down a really good lap. But again,
Excellent.
like you said, so we got GTA Finals November 9th and 10th. This is the 20th anniversary of that event. Huge, again, they talk about it in there, like the OG of time attackers. It truly is.
It is.
And, man, I'm excited because it's just an event that I just can't get over. It's just an event that I always like to go to, want to be at. And I'll take a minute. I'm gonna be a little boring here for a second, and we're gonna look at some of the stuff that I find interesting. Again, so this is the Buttonwillow Raceway Park's 13 CW records overall listing, and this is really just a tag team off of what you just said, right? Like if records are going to be broken. And it's really easy to look at this and go, dude, it's really hard to break a record here. But I say that, and then I look at it and I go, holy crap, records have been broken. I mean, there's one record that stands out, limited all-wheel drive, 142.694 by Jeff Westphal in the professionally awesome Mitsubishi Evo. It's been held since 2015. That is the longest standing record at Buttonwillow currently. So that tells me that records are being broken. Things are still happening. So
Oh yeah. I mean, I was going to say there's 12 records that they keep track of. Basically 3 drivetrains-ish. Yeah, 3 drivetrains for each class, which would be Enthusiast, Street, Limited, and Unlimited.
Yep.
Of those, to your point, and I feel like we say this all the time, and we always eat our words. Like, man, that's going to be hard to break that record, and then within a year or two, that record is broken. But to your point, of the 12 classes, only 2 classes stand that are older than the 2020s.
Yep.
So within the past 3 years, 10 of the 12 class records have been broken. Interestingly enough, the two records that still stand are are very fast records for that class. With as you just said, Jeff Westphal and his Mitsubishi Evo, and then who's that? Yeah, William Al Young in the PZ Tuning Honda Civic. So those are 2 very fast times. But just going off of the point you were making, like, within the last 3 years, every class with each drivetrain has had a record broken. So we should just stop saying that, and we should just be like, oh,
it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah. But, we kind of now, like, it's almost an expectation, which I sort of hate, because we should not always expect records to be broken. But, like, we're starting to have that expectation of, like, all right, like, let's see which record is going to be broken this time, because within the past 3 years, we've at least had one broken, and last year we had two records broken, right? So last year for 2023. So keep at it. I'm excited. I hate that there's not going to be a live stream. I like watching the event, and I like seeing what's going on. But
I'm going to be trying. Right. I'm definitely going to be trying to break out the old camera phone and trying to do some reporting on my own, and I'll obviously be posted on the Perfect Lap Instagram as well. So I just want to point out, we have some individuals that are going to be there that absolutely have the ability and the car to break the overall record. So David Hagesma, so he actually showed up last year, and everyone had the expectation that he was going to break the overall record, but ended up breaking his car in practice on the practice day. So that sucked for him. But he's back this year. He's done a ton of work to this car all off season.
What's he driving?
He's got a Nissan GTR.
Okay. And
this car is absolutely phenomenal. He's done a lot of work to it. He currently holds the unlimited all-wheel drive record with a 137.7. But again, I mean, the amount of work that he's done and the amount of effort that he's put in, again, I don't want to make it, I don't want to do that commentator curse or anything, but I definitively believe that he will be out there and he will be able to break this record. So it's definitely going to be something to watch. I'm interested, and I'm going to just bring this up really quick. So currently in Unlimited class, Craig Coker is going to be out there. Again, he won the event last year. First EV to ever win GTA Finals. So he'll be out there.
2021 Tesla Plaid. That thing is ridiculous.
It's absolutely redonkulous. It's awesome. He's definitely going to be on the top like shooters list of people who have the ability to win. Mark Lutton with his GT350. That's a really cool car. I don't quite know if Mark has the horsepower in that car, to be honest with you, to be able to put up against Craig and David. So we'll see how that kind of pans out. Ryan in his 1990 Mazda Miata just had a great showing at Laguna Seca Grid Life. Now, do I think he has the capability to break the overall lap record? That's going to be tough. Again, we've talked about how tough it is for Miatas to be able to go out there and like win the overall showdown. But it will be cool to see like what he can actually do, how he can stack up. So those are kind of like those are my overall picks per se. But I think we've all learned and well understand that anything can happen in time attack. So any of these guys can come out and try to get the overall. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's some sleepers in this group that honestly, I don't even know anything about them. I mean, obviously we got our old players like Ryan Novak coming out in his 1992 Honda Civic, just a cool car. Frank Pacheco, he's coming out in that 2018 Chevy Camaro, because he's not a Corvette guy. He's a Camaro guy. Cool car, a lot of cool stuff on it. I was really hoping to see an Italian in a Mustang, but yet I don't see him signed up. So, I want to see him get out there. He's essentially a time trials champion that's been doing a lot of stuff with NASA, so on and so forth. But apparently he thinks he needs more horsepower to be able to do time attack. I think he just needs to sign up and come out and have a good time.
Hey, you never know. Sometimes you just have to sign up and see what's right. Like,
I mean, look at our.
Dip your toe in the water. Dip your toe in the water. Sign up. Don't give me this crap about I need more horsepower. Like
300 horsepower BMW. That's all I got to say.
Everybody needs more horsepower. Well, that's true. Everybody needs more horsepower, but you're absolutely right. A 300 horsepower BMW from the 1990s can still do some damage.
Yes, it can. So again, limited class, we're stacked with 12 entries in limited class. This is going to be a tough competition. The top three on the list, honestly, are probably going to be some of the hardest to beat. So Ying Jing Pan did a lot of work at the Ridge and put down some really fast times. He was super consistent. Herrick Hung in his 2021 McLaren just got off the winning. Well, he didn't run the McLaren. He ran a Ferrari at COTA. So I take that back. He's running a different car, but he did win COTA, and then he did some unusual things at the Ridge, which made him ineligible and put him in a different class. George Zhao, he's set records at the Ridge, has been doing really well at COTA, so George Zhao is kind of a person to beat. I know that he's got a new diffuser coming in that R8, and he'll be doing some really cool things on that R8. He's not worried about cutting that thing up, which makes it that much cooler to me. And you got, of course, you got Tim Shepner and his Mitsubishi Evo. I'm never going to count him out. Him and Ben Dankers both are coming out with like it's going to be some wild stuff. I think those guys are going to be. I know it's going to sound weird when I say they're sleepers, but when you're talking about going up against a McLaren, an Audi R8, and a GT3 RS,
I mean, come on,
in a Mitsubishi Evo, you're kind of a sleeper. So those are going to be some really interesting guys. I'll give my guy James Howe a big shout out at his Porsche GT3. I don't think we're going to be in the top echelon there, not by any means. We're just too stock, but we're going to be trying to be in that mid pack, trying to lead that mid pack. Damien, who we just had on the show last episode, they're just going to be out there. Yeah, going to be out there. He's obviously just going to be in his practice car. But again, it'll be interesting to see what Damien can do in the practice car. He was originally shooting for the overall lap record in limited, but obviously we don't expect him. I mean,
It sounds to me like his practice car has become the race car. I mean, how long are you going to keep calling it the practice car when that's the one you're actually racing? Come on, Damien.
It's definitely, it gets little lines blurred, so on and so forth.
Sure, sure.
There's another.
I would love to see. I need to go back and find some videos. I don't know if you know. I'd love to see some videos of their real car, the big boy car. I need to go. We talked a little bit about it, but I have not actually gone and looked up
It's
any
a cool
videos.
car.
I need to go. Yeah, I want to see some.
I've definitely had a lot of experience in, around, and the car's really cool. They've done a lot of work, and they've done a really good job of, everyone can say, race cars can be show cars pretty easily, but their car is just a little bit step above in terms of that. It just looks so good. The car has always done a really good job, and they're getting some really good aero on it. And I think that was their big deficit over the last few years, is they didn't have a really good aero campaign on it, and now they're getting that fixed. So that's going to be the big thing there.
All we asked for is just like a good livery. Like
Agreed.
actually, it was kind of funny. Kyle McHugh he won the Grid Life Street mod, and it was just funny because he was recently getting some crap on social media because his car is kind of patched together. Now, fair enough. The car went into a wall at Road Atlanta. So you kind of have to do what you have to do. But he's been getting a little bit of flack. Now, fair enough. He said, I don't care what the car looks like. I just want it to go fast. Touche. I get you. But next year,
understand.
Kyle, let's see a livery on that car. Come on, man.
It's one of those things, like, I'm just going to say it, from the marketability standpoint, from sponsor standpoint, you got to make the car look good and go fast, because I think we can all understand, even if it doesn't go that fast, if the car looks good, more people take pictures of it, more people are going to care about it, because, and I really hate to say this because we are a time attack podcast, but there's a big thing to be said about how a car looks and how that matters when it goes around the track. And just like that, I'll kind of give Brian here. So Brian's got this awesome, again, Mazda Miata, 1999 Mazda Miata. It's an NB. He's going to come out, and he's got basically a rear wing bolted on to the front of the car. So that just makes me excited. Like, we're getting back into the Rado, like, front wing era of time attack. And
what was that? Was that a Scion?
Yeah, Scion F-Wing is what they called it. So,
Nice.
It's stuff like this. This is, to me, time attack. Like, when I get there, when I see this car, I'm going to want to get around it, touch it, and then obviously I'm going to want to know what it does around the track. But it's just one of those things, like, it's cool, innovative, and he's been, like, I've gone to the track, and he's had this car. We were out at Streets together. I think he was, I want to say he was, like at a 119 around Streets, and that was before he did a lot of this aero stuff. So the car is quick, that is for sure, although I will say Streets is quite a bit different than a Buttonwillow, but it's a bunch of really quick, cool cars, that, again, you need a livery. My boy James, he's got a badass new livery on his GT3. He understands the game, and it's going to be, like, this is actually the old livery. The new one's even better. I'm kind of shocked that he didn't give the new livery posted up on here, but liveries are where it's at. I'm a little disappointed, Ben Dankers. Not even a photo. Everyone wants to see your car. Come on, man. But those guys in those Evos, I'll be really excited to see what they bring out and what it all looks like, how they're going to shake out. Clayton Yates, again, he's got a Corvette, so you never know what can happen. Watch out for those Corvettes. So
I don't want to get us too far off topic as we're going through talking about all the entrants, but we've got a lot of different cars here. We've seen a lot of different cars in Unlimited, a lot of different cars in Limited. From your experience, like, what sort of car works well around Buttonwillow? Buttonwillow, it's got tight turns, it's got flowing turns, it's got places where you need to be able to put down power. So it requires a lot, which is why it's a good time attack circuit. But from your experience, talk to me a little bit about what type of car, a shorter car like a Mazda Miata, a longer car like a longer wheelbase like a Z06, or an Audi R8. What works well?
So historically, when you look back in time at Buttonwillow and Time Attack, the all-wheel drive cars have reigned supreme. Evos and Subarus were kind of running the game for a very long time. The front-wheel drive guys were complaining on a constant, kind of in an interesting fashion, kind of in the inverse factor of how we're talking about Corvettes, where they're like, we need to be given something else. We need help because there's no way that we're ever going to be able to compete. And so it's been interesting that.
Was that due to like track surface or dust? I mean, obviously it's always pretty dusty out there. Like, why do you think that was?
Development. A big thing of it is that the front wheel drive community was, I think they were basically behind the power curve in terms of development.
Sure.
Obviously, when you're talking about like, again, Corvettes, Mustangs, Camaros and stuff like that, that's kind of been developed for a long period of time. We went through the tuner phases of building up like front wheel drive cars, but I think it didn't quite translate as well in time attack and track driving in general. So it's just taken a long time. Like, you got a guy like John Lugod, right? So he's coming out in a 1997 Honda Civic Honda Del Sol. So you got a guy like him. His company, so he ends up in a situation where he's got shaft works. So he actually knows how to tune the shocks, the suspension of these cars very, very well. I don't know if he is anymore, but OS Geiken, he used to work at OS Geiken, so he really understands diffs and how those work. So when it comes down to like putting traction down and being able to actually like gain out of the corners and understanding the bumps and all those little doodads and izzits, right? This is the guy that you're looking at, right? I don't think this car is actually prepped for limited in that regard. I think this is the same car that he competes with in Grid Life GLTC. I think this is more just like a fun thing for him. I think it's probably just he pulled his interior out, and that's where he kind of stacks up. But again, like somebody like John is going to be able to get the most out of this car and be able to really be up there with these guys if possible. And that's essentially what we were talking about with like Will I Young, right? Will I Young showed the front wheel drive community what they could achieve. And he
did.
Currently holds the overall lap record at Buttonwillow Raceway Park and has since 2018. So it's been years, and no one's been able to take that away from him. So when people tell me that, front wheel drive cars are at this huge deficit and oh my gosh, they can't do it, I just go, dude, it holds the overall lap record. Like, and I've seen people, in the past. We had now I can't remember them. Now I can't remember their names. We were just talking about them last episode at Grid Life because he set a record there. Boersma, Chris Boersma. When Boersma was coming out, and when James was coming out, and they were running their Integra and that Civic, and these guys were putting up lap times, and they were fighting everybody. So what it comes down to is just developing the chassis, developing the car in that regard. So I know I've gone like way off kilter off your question, but
well, that's all right. I knew.
At the end of the day, it's a situation where all-wheel drive kind of reigned supreme in the beginning. Then we ended up in a little bit of a stage. They let, because for a long time, keep in mind, they did not let Corvettes in this competition.
Interesting.
They finally let Corvettes enter the competition, pushrod V8s, and enter the game. And then we ended up in a situation where I think 2014, 2015, Cody, he was the first privateer to ever win Super Lap Battle, aka Finals now. And he won it with a Corvette. And I was the second privateer to win with their own car. So kudos to Cody for being the first. But he won in a Corvette. And then you kind of saw Corvettes kind of start coming up. We had this one guy show up with a newer Corvette and just started kind of wreaking havoc. But honestly, for me, I will say Buttonwillow, it's forever going to be a situation where I'll say all-wheel drive kind of ends up in a situation where they have a slight advantage. Right behind them is going to be the rear-wheel drive guys, and then the front-wheel drive guys at the end. But you just got to develop the car. They're all right there. Knife edge. You just got to build it right. And that's my opinion. That's where I think it's at, and can't tell me otherwise.
Cool.
Now on to street class, where we have 20 entrants.
Lot of people.
So, and I think me and you can both agree, this is where it's awesome, because you got 20 people showing up, And again, I love that you stated it already. We got a Supra, a Type R, a BMW, a Subaru, a Cadillac, an Audi, a GR86, a Pontiac Vibe.
Matt Davis, surely that's a joke. Come on, man.
I mean, he's got a picture right here.
Yeah, he does. He does. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
And so RX-7, this is what I love about this competition is there's such a just an overwhelming, just undeniable difference of cars. Everyone picks a different car. Everyone says, I think I can win. And I'm going to tell you right now, I could look at this list and there's no clear winner. There is not a clear winner in this situation. Johnny Hernandez has spent an entire year building up this freaking Honda Civic of his. It's a Type R, by the way. Just don't think it's just a Civic. It's a Type R that he has done the works to. Corey Crowder. So he's gone through and completely rewired his car, and sad to say that apparently he went to COTA to do some practice laps, and someone broke into his car and stole all of his freaking tools. So screw those people. But you have a plethora of people that, like Chris Matthews, we've seen at COTA as well. Isaac Torres Jr., he's showing up in his Supra. Like, I'm not gonna lie, Isaac Torres is high on my list of people that I think could essentially take it away. He's been highly competitive. There's just a plethora of people. Mike Soto in that Cadillac. There's just people that are putting down good laps, and any one of these guys could walk away with it. So this is going to be one of those classes to me. This is going to be the class to watch because, and nothing pro and con, right, about this, but in previous years you had like the Amirs showing up in street class, and you were like, Amir's going to win. It's just a matter of like, how much is Amir going to win by, right? Yep. So it's cool in this sense because we have no clue. At the end of the day, we have no clue where this is going to end up.
It's up for grabs.
It is completely and utterly up for grabs. I forgot Mike Reyes in this Boss Racing. Like, he's one of my favorites by far. He makes amazing content online. If you don't have one of the Boss Racing, helmet cameras, I can't wear it because I'm too tall and I only see the freaking sun visor in my Mustang, so it kind of upsets me. But he's done a ton of work to this car. I was just watching a video of his earlier today. Again, he puts out amazing content. The JQ Works guys, they're going to be obviously they have a couple cars that compete in this as well.
They've been doing a lot of work. I've been keeping up with them. So I've got a JQ Works steering wheel in my
I'm jealous.
M4.
I'm so jealous,
dude. I love that thing. It's super nice quality. And they've really expanded their line. I think that they now have one they've got it for the Toyota Supra. I think they even have it for the Type R, the Civic Type R. It's super nice, super cool.
I've been begging for one for a Mustang for literally for months now. There's a huge market there. Come on, guys, for Mustang.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, for sure. But they've been doing. I know they've been doing a lot of development. I was able to meet up with him, meet up with those guys at Laguna. So we were chit chatting, and he was telling me about they've been developing the M2, and then they also have I think it's an M3 that's sort of like a club sport spec based off the GT4 car. So some of the GT4 Aero. So I think they were out there last year, maybe. I
think they were too.
Yeah. So be interesting to kind of see where they end up falling. I'm excited about this class. It's like we said, up for grabs. A lot of different manufacturers, drivetrains. It's going to be really interesting to kind of see where this falls out. And like we said, Jager will be boots on ground. We will also be doing everything we can to kind of try and keep you guys up to date at the Perfect Lap podcast Instagram, as well as also check out Global Time Attacks Instagram for updates.
Absolutely. I'm throwing it out there. This 2018 Subaru WRX has got a freaking killer livery on it, which again just makes me instantly just hope for him for the win. Like,
Yeah.
Car looks absolutely amazing. And this is one of those strange things where I go, I've never heard of this guy. Indica Citra.
Yeah.
I'll go with it.
We need to find
California.
somebody. Huh. Okay. We need to find someone who like designs liveries, and we need to get him on this podcast and talk to him.
Oh, I know somebody. We can. I'll hit him up.
Okay.
We'll get it.
Yeah.
Enthusiast class. I will say this: Enthusiast class and Max Effort class, both very, very light. I know in past Enthusiast class as a whole, they used to actually limit the amount of entrants. I think they used to limit it to 5 because nothing, not pro and con, but it's just a situation where you'd rather have guys in street limited in an unlimited class. Just one of those situations. So kind of when it used to be, especially the quintessential, like, holy grail of time attack, you really wanted to have like the biggest and baddest out of this event.
Yeah.
I don't quite know if they do that anymore. Krista is going to be out there in her GR Corolla. She was out there last year as well. So Sergio Perez in his Subaru BRZ. Pretty cool little car there.
Not to be confused with Sergio Checo Perez of famed Red Bull Racing. Although maybe, I don't know, maybe it is. Maybe he just keeps his helmet on the whole time.
Let me say, if it is, I hope he does not come because holy crap, he's going to get kicked off of Red Bull here real quick. Stephen Ellis, he's going to be out there in that Toyota GR86. I actually kind of have Stephen as my pegged winner for Enthusiast class at the moment, so we will see how that pans out.
It's hard to bet against these 86s, man.
Dude, they are so fast.
They're so fast. We touched on him at the Time Trial Nationals when we were talking about that. Lyle Zyra ran, and he won his class, Max 4, I think it was, which when we were on with John Hunter, we were talking like it was going to be a major battle between Josh Owens and Lyle Zyra. Josh is in a highly, highly modified Mazda Miata, and Lyle is in a lightly modified GR86. He's got like a wing and a splitter on it. He's got some suspension. And I mean, don't get me wrong, that dude can wheel a car, but it's like I said, like these are like the Supra Juniors. Like they are fast. They punch way above their weight. I think that these are going to sort of become like, you're going to have the Supra, right, which can get crazy power and be very, very fast. But I think if you want to go to a slightly lower spec, you go with the GR86. There's going to be a lot of support. There's going to be a lot of companies out there making legitimate go-fast parts for these. They handle really well. You're not going to be able to keep up with the Supra, but you are going to be able to be very, very fast in these GR86s. I think that they're going to be one of the next big track toys that people are going after. I said it here first.
I agree. Max Effort class, we got 3 entrants, and let me tell you, all 3 entrants, well, I'm going to say at least 2. I'm kind of confused on this GR86.
I'm not sure what Gerald's doing there.
I think Gerald is actually I think he just put himself in the wrong class. I think he's supposed to be an enthusiast. That would make the most sense to me. But Justin Bayless, I've seen this car. I've actually driven this car at Streets of Willow. And I won't say the negative part where I had something completely fail and had to drive it off into the dirt. So that was fun. But this car is awesome. Justin is an awesome guy. He builds composite parts. He has his own company that he builds composite parts for people. Like, you don't really notice it, but there's so many things on this car that are absolutely custom. Obviously, it's a 1983 Volkswagen Rabbit. Justin really embodies what Time Attack is all about. Like the whole, I think if I remember correctly, the whole like front end is all like tube chassised out.
Wow.
Like everything about this car is just wickedly cool and awesome. And honestly, it doesn't even matter what lap time he does. It's just really cool to watch this car go around track and see what he does. But I will say this, Justin has had a string of bad luck. And so I'm really, really hoping this is going to be the year, knock on wood here, that he gets it together and is able to go out on track and actually like really lay down a heater, put down some good stuff, and put us into a situation where we can watch him and have it be really exciting. So, and I think you know this car.
Yeah, Brian Navarra, the 1966 Mustang. So he was out at Laguna, and I I got to take a look at this car because I was actually behind him in tech. First and foremost, that car is ridiculously loud. Like, it may be one of the loudest cars I've ever been around, but the craftsmanship and the build quality on that car is extremely high. It's a super cool car. Like, vintage Mustangs aren't really my thing, but like I looked at that car and I was like, okay, like that's cool. They've done a really good job building it, and it was pretty quick around Laguna. Yeah, I'll be interested to see how he does around Buttonwillow.
Yeah, I'll be really interested to see. I think he's been there before. I just don't recall what his lap time was, but I'll be interested to see how those guys are able to punch it out and see how it goes. And at the end of the day, again, like we were talking about, I'm really just interested to see who can break some of these records. I'm going to give a little, I don't know, but some insider knowledge. So I believe Faris Khartoumi is going to be at this event. He is not signed up yet. I don't know if his car is ready yet. He might just be going out and showing the car off in its non-finished form. But you heard it here first. It is a possibility that he could be there and going after that overall win, which, again, Sean Cagle, he's got the current record in unlimited rear-wheel drive from a Corvette, and it's prime and ready to be picked. So it's going to be an interesting situation. Ferris already's done a 144, so he'd have to knock off 4 seconds, and that's years ago. That's 2020.
That was in the V1 chassis?
Well, not only is that he had to compete on some weird tires because of sizing and so on and so forth, and be able to compete in limited class because he didn't have a cage. It was just, he didn't have a cage in that car when he came, if I remember correctly.
That's wild, yeah. So do you know if he's, I think he's going to be at SEMA. Do we know if he's debuting the V3? Are we talking about things we shouldn't be talking about here? I don't know. I'm just guessing. Okay.
It's definitely a little on the hush hush. It's kind of weird, but maybe it's just one of those things of we're not talking about it too much because it's just an unknown. Sure. I think I saw on his Instagram that it's on a trailer because obviously it had to get to SEMA. So I don't think it's V3. I think it's still in that
still
transitionary period between he hasn't put on the new aero, but he's still testing the new car, and he's got more power. So, but I'm going to tell you right now, obviously Buttonwillow, you can put a lot of aero on a car because it doesn't have Coda straights. You're not going to get the huge deficit of and that's what this is another reason why I love this track and why I kind of fell in love with the Ridge is you don't end up in a situation where you need 1,300 horsepower.
Sure.
Is it helpful? Well, of course. But at the end of the day, you don't need that kind of horsepower. Like street class cars, 500 horsepower, and it was awesome. You were able to lay down incredibly fast lap times. And I think Amir would tell you, I don't know for a fact, but I don't think Amir was at 800 horsepower in his, NSX, and he did a 144. I don't think the Jose did a 150 in his Honda Civic with 800 horsepower. So, I mean, when I was running street class, the best I did was a 150, and we were running 550. So, and tire technology is incredibly better than what it used to be. So,
absolutely.
You're talking about, I was running RS3 running a 150 versus if you threw on, the latest and greatest, if you threw on a new Hoosier or, the Nankang or whatever, I guarantee you could easily drop that time down to a 148 or something like that. And you're still talking a 550 wheel horsepower car, which is completely manageable. So, I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what goes on. Again, I'm going to be there. I'm going to try to, get you guys as much information as possible. You'll see me kind of stalking around some pit garages. I'll also be throwing my hat into the ring a little bit by driving around a GT3. So that'll be kind of fun. But again, I'm not going for any record. I'm not going for anything besides to help James out and get him going faster than he's ever been. So, I'm excited, guys. I'm excited. We'll give you a full event recap when we get back from that event and kind of finish out the season, and then we'll start talking about next year and what's going to happen then.
Oh, man. I'm excited. Like, it'll be just a little bit, just a few weeks, and then we're already going to be starting to get new information about next year. I already, not to go too far, but I got an email from JD at Global Time Attack. He sent an email out. They've already got their new dates set for Super Lap Battle, so people will need to start making plans, start putting that stuff on the calendar. But we definitely will have some of the organizers on. We'll talk about new rule sets, changes in rules.
Those are going to be the ticket, man.
And talk about like what are we doing in the off season? What changes should you be kind of thinking about in the off season? Right? Like, we'll get into all that sort of stuff. It'll be a lot of fun. There will be plenty of things to talk about, even when there's not really any major races going on. I will say this: I want to give a shout out to Mark Sarcevich as well as Phil Jew. So both of those guys came up to me at Time Trial Nationals, and they were like, "Hey, dude, we listened to the podcast. You guys are doing awesome. We really enjoy it." Like, I was totally surprised. I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." So if you're going to be out at Buttonwillow for Global Time Attack Finals 20th anniversary, find Mark Jager and tell him that you listen to the podcast. Tell him the things you like. Tell him the things you don't like. Tell him what topics you would love to hear about, because we want to make content that you guys enjoy. So if you listen to this podcast and you find Jager and just tell him, just let him know, because we love meeting you guys and putting a face with a name.
Absolutely, guys. Come find me. You'll see me. I'll be around, and come hang out, say some things, and we'll get back. And
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, we're just here to talk about the things that we love. We love Time Attack. We know you love Time Attack, so that's all we're here about. So
exactly. Well, speaking of Time Attack and the content we create, you can find us on YouTube. You can also listen to us on Apple Podcast as well as Spotify. So if you can't watch us, you can listen to us. And if you're listening to us and you want to watch us, you can do that. You can also follow us on Instagram. So Jager and I will be trying this weekend to be posting stuff up, make sure everybody's staying up to date on finals, as well as we will of course be pushing out content over the winter in terms of schedules, rule changes, all sorts of stuff that we're going to be doing. And then you can check us out at our website, perfectlappodcast.com, where we have a little bit of information. We also have an email. If you want to email questions, if you want to email us content, we will be glad to read those. We'll read your emails on the podcast, and then we'll discuss them. You can do that at Maximum Attack at perfectlappodcast.com. That is Maximum Attack, all one word, Maximum Attack at perfectlappodcast.com, or leave a comment on YouTube. Some of you guys are already doing that. We always read those and try and respond and keep the conversation going. But we hope you all are enjoying the content, having a good time. One last big race. I'm excited. Finals does sort of always cap the end of the year. So it's bittersweet to see it come, but it's also sort of nice to say, okay, like another year is finished. We want some records to be broken. We want records to be broken next year so that we can talk about those. So
Heck yeah.
Get after it. Hope everyone has a good time.